Hi, it's Heather, and I'm so glad you're here. We've renamed our podcast Health, Harmony, and Heather to reflect my passion for enriching our perspectives on life by exploring social phenomena, the human condition, and our abilities to connect with ourselves, each other, and the planet. We'll talk about all forms of health, from the physical, mental, and spiritual, and we'll hear from experts that take us closer to living harmoniously. We will explore all things that lead us to our innermost truth, happiness, and freedom. Join me and take the ride. Dr. Daryl Gioffre is a highly sought after gut health and inflammation specialist with over 2 decades of experience in the field. He knows firsthand what it takes to overcome adversity and challenges in the pursuit of superior health. He's the founder of Kick Acid Enterprises, a virtual nutrition testing and coaching platform focusing on inflammation and restoring balance and strengthening the microbiome through his Alkamind brand and what he calls gut fitness. I'm so glad to have you back with us again, Doc. You're the best. You're my returning engine of excitement and energy and information. And I feel like we're going to have to stop seeing each other like this between our Instagram lives and all of our podcasts. It's so fun to see you again and be with you here today.
I love it. Round 2. Here we go. We're going to knock out some good stuff today. So thank you.
We're going to knock out more information.
This is so much fun.
Because the first podcast was so jam-packed with information. It was like, and there's still so much more to say. And that's why I hope you'll keep coming back, because you're just such a wealth of knowledge. And we sing to the same, whatever. What is it? You beat to the same drummer. I can't remember
Absolutely.
what the thing is.
Complete
we follow
alignment.
the same flute, whatever.
I'm with you. We're in such complete alignment, and we got a lot of people to help, and people need this more than ever right now. And this is why we do what we do. This has never been more important to talk about the things we were talking about. So yeah. It's a blessing.
And it's wide open out there. And it's almost like we went backwards.
Yeah.
Because you and I like to quote Socrates. And like, when you think about where we started with, like, how did we lose all this great intelligence that they had, this intuitive intelligence that they had back in the day, and get all junked up? But we're going to get into that. But I want to just, for some people who may not have listened to podcast number 1, and you guys definitely go listen to podcast number 1. If you're listening now and you haven't yet, you can get it anywhere you download your podcasts. We're going to be there. But just tell people a little bit who you are, just to get the ground warm.
I was a guy who was massively addicted to sugar since I could remember, since I was 5 years old. I mean, we talk about, like, back then, it was a different time, right? I mean, it's wild to see, like, what our kids have to go through now. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and it's like, are kids better off or worse off now? It's like, it's amazing, because we become so far removed from everything. And when we would get home from school, we would go out, we'd like go on our bikes. Our parents had no clue where we were, but we were safe. Like, they weren't worried about danger happening. We'd come back at dinner time. Food was somewhat healthier, right? We can get into all that. But for me, that was my skeleton in the closet. And as I kind of got older, high school and into college, I was getting ear infections. I was getting chronic infections. I was getting all these skin outbreaks that all the dermatologists couldn't fix. They would just put stuff on the skin, not understanding why this was happening. I had massive leaky gut from all the antibiotics, from all the sugar, from all the grains, from all the gluten, from all of what life was throwing at me, which we didn't know, no one knew at that time. And what happened is that my body started, dysfunctioning. My body started showing different symptoms, which was a sign that my body was out of balance. And I was getting chronic migraines. And at the time I was in college, I was playing college soccer at Boston College. Like, it wasn't like I was like really suffering, but at that age, you know how to kind of get through it. And fast forward, I became a chiropractor because of a really bad injury while I was playing soccer. I had actually broken my neck. And chiropractic saved my life. And that was kind of my next level. I was like, this is what I want to do. Every doctor said I needed surgery. And then I went to this one quack, right? The chiropractor. Now I am one. And he said, you know what? This can actually heal. And you just got to take care of it from the structure and from the inflammatory standpoint. And I was able to evade surgery, and I started helping people with chiropractic. But what I noticed as I was doing chiropractic, that there was a small group of my practice that were like uber healthy. They had glowing skin, they had energy, they were exercising, they looked good, they were fit. It was like they walked into your office and you're like, I want that. I want what that person's doing, right? And then there was the rest of us. And by the way, I was included with the rest of us. And we were the ones with the yo-yo syndrome. We're up one week, we're down the next week. I feel good this day, I feel awful that day. And I started using my practice as this like amazing, investigation source. And I started just, Tony Robbins says, role modeling says success leaves clues. So I started studying this small, I didn't want to study the people that are doing all this. I started looking at what these good people were doing. I'm like, if they look that way, if they feel that way, there has to be something different that they're doing. And I'm going to figure that out. And that's what I started doing. And I just started adding things into my life. And it was wild. And I did go to this Tony Robbins conference, which blew my mind away, because that's the first time I heard about this thing called the alkaline diet and about something called green juice, which now I call the core of a strength eating diet. So Heather, I just said, I'm going to do small changes, right? I'm not going to do the white knuckle approach. Sugar deprivation doesn't work. It's a drug. It's so powerful. It's 8 times more addictive than cocaine. How am I going to beat that? So I just started adding things into my lifestyle. It was a green juice that turned into 2 green juices a day. I started bouncing on a rebounder to lymphatically drain. And within a few weeks, my life was changed. Like my addiction was gone. It just shows that your body has this innate potential, this power that makes your body, will heal your body as long as you give it the right things and you don't put those bad things inside of it. So that's kind of like my big story. And it evolved into gut health when my dad became diagnosed with esophageal cancer. And I had to figure out really fast a way to try to save his life. I wasn't able to save his life. I was holding his hand when he died 3 years later, but here's kind of the blessing in this whole story. I became a gut specialist to try to help him. And my vow to him the day that he died, he had a tube, he was on life support. He was in a coma, but I know he heard everything that I said to him in that moment. And I said, Dad, I'm going to do everything in my power to prevent as many people suffering the way that he did. And he suffered from silent reflux before I even knew what reflux was for years. And that's kind of what led to his esophageal cancer. They pulled the tube out. I was holding his hand and he died right then and there. So Heather, like what I do now, I just got the chills when I said that. What I do now, it's so mission driven because there are so many people out there who are sick and suffering. I just got off a client who have ulcers in her esophagus and her stomach, and it's all twisted and like she can be that next person that gets esophageal cancer, but not on my watch. So again, these things are reversible if we change our diet, right? Because you can't supplement your way out of a crap diet. If you put the right supplements in your body, if you move and exercise your body, because motion is emotion and that will make us feel better. And if we detoxify our body and we get rid of this inflammation. So that's where I'm at now. I want to help as many people with helping them heal their gut. I want to make gut testing a regular part of our lifestyle because it needs to be, because Hippocrates said it best, and I'll turn it back to you. All disease begins in the gut. And he was right.
That's right. And that goes back to, mythological times when we were talking about like what has gone wrong, right? And you said even when you were a kid, I'm a little bit older than you, but I rode my bike away and didn't come back till dinner. Yeah. What's changed is the quality of our food, the processed food, the conventional farming. We didn't have conventional farming in 1970, 1975. I mean, if it was starting, it didn't make my neighborhood yet.
Right.
And the need, and also what changed is the need for food. Fast food happened. When you go buy a McDonald's, I mean, I don't know if they still do it anymore because I never go to McDonald's, but it says like over 1 billion served. Yeah. Right? Exactly. A lot of hamburgers.
Over 1 billion slowly killed, I should say.
Yeah, slowly killed. Exactly. Yeah. And that type of thing is what changed. Those are only just a few markers, but those are things that start to change the evolution of what's happening in people. And then what happened is we didn't listen to the signs. We didn't listen to our intuition, which is a very important, sense that we have. And we didn't then listen to the signs. So intuitively, a lot of times when people are sick, they know something's wrong. And then your body will say, if you're not going to listen to your intuition, your sixth sense, I'm going to show you that something's wrong, and I'm going to inflame you, and I'm going to give you acne and eczema, and I'm going to give you belly bloat, and I'm going to give you poor sleep, and I'm going to give you thin nails and hair, and I'm going to give you all those things. And then what happens? They try to put a Band-Aid on it. And that's what Western medicine is all about. Western doctors have been trained to treat disease, not to prevent it. So I'm going to put two of your favorite words together, root and cause.
Yeah,
so
baby.
It's all about root cause. And that's what we're learning now. Instead of trying to treat what's ill, we're trying to now understand why you're ill.
Right. When you look at the word health, it's a state of optimal physical, mental, social well-being, not just the absence of disease or infirmity. And allopathic medicine has captured that second half. And listen, we all know there's a place for allopathic medicine. It's crisis care, but it's not healthcare. We do not live in a healthcare system. I said it on the last podcast. I'll say it again. This is important. We make up 5% of the world's total population. We spend over 50% of the world's money on what they call healthcare. We call sick care. Yet there are 71 countries ahead of us that rank higher in world health. We rank dead last in every industrialized nation category as it pertains to health. So how can we be the most technologically advanced nation in this world and be dead last in health? Because of exactly what you say. We're putting Band-Aids on it. The symptom is the bad thing, when the symptom is actually the alert. It's the warning sign. You know, if the fire alarm goes off in my house, I'm not going to go snip the wire and go back to bed. I'm going to die because the fire is going to take you out. But this is what modern medicine's doing. They're snipping the wire to the alarm. And a lot of times you don't even feel better, right? That's their design.
And then you're lost in this cycle of undiagnosis or diagnosis after diagnosis after diagnosis, but no plan for attacking the core problem.
And we know what diagnosis means. Literally, di means two, agnosis means not knowing. The doctor and the patient both don't know what the hell's going on. So how can we fix it if we don't know what's going on? So they snip the wire, the fire's still raging. Oh, I'm fixed because I feel better. Listen, we love people. We care about them. I love my patients. The first thing I want to do is make their symptoms go away. But they have to understand is that how we get these symptoms to go away is by what you just said, finding the root cause. And once you know what that root cause is, then and only then can you put together a specific laser focused protocol to actually reverse this. And here's the cool thing. These things are all reversible. There's not a single disease, cancer, that has not gone into remission or reverse itself. The only thing that's incurable is incurable people, right? Not incurable diseases, incurable people, because we're only as good as the limitations that we put on ourselves. I can't do this. I should do that, right? The moment we turn our can'ts into must and we stop shoulding all over ourselves, right? We can change. And that's the key thing. People need to know that there is hope. But when you get that symptom, pay attention to it. If it's bad, you could take something in the moment. Like I had this patient just now, she's going to take PPIs for 14 days, not 10 years. Because on the thing it says 14 days. While we get together, we work on her protocol, we get her going to actually fix it, right? She knows that's just the Band-Aid. It's for 2 weeks, but she knows the work she needs to do and the work she needs to put into that to actually get well. And she will.
And that's what some of these things are, like a Prevacid. If you're having if you have gas in your stomach, that's okay once in a while. But if you're continuing to gobble these things down, you're not addressing what the core problem is. You're just putting a Band-Aid on it. And like you said, a lot of these medicines are okay for a very short time, but people wind up on them for years and years and years. And other diseases and other problems are happening within their bodies at the same time. You know, you said something to me that's interesting and something to be said about human nature is that we have to listen to ourselves first and last. You're going to get a lot of information in the middle, but please, you guys, trust yourself first and last, because what happens with doctors, you know, they're just human beings, number one, right? And a lot of them are doing the very best they can. Some are exceptional, some are not so great. You know, but we, for some reason, hang this, you know, big badge of like, you know, everything on a doctor, and we want them to have all the answers. Right. And then we expect them to have all the answers, and we put ourselves into numb mode or autopilot mode, and we're not doing any of the work.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that we have to notice. Like, I went to my doctor for my regular checkup, got all my bloods drawn, brought them then to a specialist, and had her take additional tests, which cost me $140. It was not expensive.
Right.
And I got all these other tests back that showed me something that my doctor didn't show me. I'm not absorbing B vitamins. I have the mother gene, and I'm not absorbing B vitamins. So I need a methylated B to help me. Like, so that is something that's
and there's another thing, Heather, with that. Yes, methylation is critical. So if you see high homocysteine was probably the marker they're talking about. The number should be between 6 and 7. These doctors are going on lab range. If the number is 10 or 13, they're not going to say a word to you. That's not like, here's a stupid analogy, right? But it's not so stupid. I would say, would you rather be happy or just not sad? Would you rather be healthy or just not sick? These lab numbers are just keeping you not sick, but that's not okay. We want you to be optimal. So when we look at these numbers, we're looking at optimal ranges. So yes, you needed to take a methylated B complex, but what a lot of people also don't realize is that the reason why we can't get or metabolize the Bs is because of hypochlorhydria, which is low stomach acid.
Right. And I've been
back to that.
Yeah. Okay. So my point is like, if you already went this year and you don't have a checkup again for another year or whatever, like, fine, we can work it out for next year, but get in front of this a little bit and get ahead of your next appointment. Find out what your ranges should be. When you get your blood test and your doctor says everything looks fine, be like, can you explain that to me more? You know what I mean? Like, what now? You know, so give them a little bit of your intel onto how to get themselves prepared and wise to support themselves.
Yeah, such a great point, Heather. So number one, we should be getting a comprehensive blood panel every year. It's very, very important. And also doing a gut test every year. I mean, because so many things that we see on these comprehensive blood panels, as far as inflammatory markers, we're seeing low thyroid hypofunction, so hypothyroidism, autoimmune disease, it all comes from the gut. So for me, every year, like without fail for my entire family, it's like we're doing a comprehensive blood panel. I'm testing my gut at least once a year. I do it twice a year just because that's what I do. Now, there's other things we can do above and beyond that, but that's like the minimum. But again, going back to what I was saying before is that most doctors, oh, you're fine, because if that number is in the lab range, then they're just going to kind of leave it be. And let me give you a silly, perfect example, vitamin D. Well, vitamin D is not a vitamin, it's a hormone. It's one of the most important vitamins that your body needs. It's responsible for over 1,000 different things in the body, including immune system regulation, including hormonal balance, including the absorption of magnesium and calcium. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So if you look at the range on a comprehensive blood panel, it's going to say 30 to 100. So if you go to your doctor and that number says 31, you're in the range, Heather, right? What is most doctors going to say to you when they look at your blood test?
They're going to say, I'm fine.
They're going to say nothing. They're not even going to mention vitamin D. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. They're not even going to mention it because it's within the lab range. But here's the problem. You're in the basement. You're just 2 numbers of that being to 29 where that's going to be flagged as low, which is dangerous. I mean, 31 and 29 is no difference. All right. One of those numbers, doctor's not saying a word to you. The other one, the doctor hopefully will mention it to you and do the right thing to get that up into the 70 to 80 range, because we don't want you in the basement. We want you in the optimal range. It's the same thing with the thyroid, right? I don't want your thyroid at 3 or 2.8 or 2.7. That's hypothyroidism. So we want that up in that 3.5 range, which most doctors don't even know that these numbers exist, right? So we need to go to the right person, get the right test. So when you get your blood panel done, do it once a year. Make sure you test a complete metabolic panel. You're looking at your cholesterol. You're looking at all of your blood sugar numbers, so your glucose,
your
A1C. Yeah, you're looking at your white blood cells and your red blood cells. You're looking at your liver enzymes like ALT and AST. You're looking at your kidney markers, so that everyone should be doing that. But you also want to look at your inflammatory markers. I can't tell you how often, more than not, that I get a comprehensive blood panel from a patient that comes to me with a test and there's no inflammatory markers. So I'll have my patients say, if you're going to test through your doctor, please make sure that you're testing for HSCRP. That stands for high sensitivity C-reactive protein. It's one of the most important numbers on your blood test. It should be less than 1, which means that you're in a low inflammatory state. If it's greater than 1, that's not good. Heather was talking about methylation. So how can we tell methylation without looking at the NTHFR gene? You can actually do it through a marker called homocysteine, which is another cardiovascular inflammatory marker. It should be between 6 and 7. So these are the things we want to look at. You want to look at all of your iron markers. And once we have all these numbers, there's a saying I always like to say is what you inspect, you respect, yes. Right? And when you look at those numbers, then you can get a picture, a snapshot as to what my body's going through above and beyond how I feel. Because again, we don't want to wait for the bloating. We don't want to wait for the heartburn. We don't want to wait for, reproductive issues or cancer to start to wake up and say, I need to make a change in my body. Let the numbers show you that you're moving off target, but you're not over the edge, right? So if we're doing lab ranges, you could be so close to over the edge, like the vitamin D, and you don't even know it. But if we're looking at these from a real functional standpoint, then we're going to get to this before it gets to that point. And this is what we call prevention. That's prevention, right? Prevention is not doing a mammogram because you can have cancer. Prevention is actually knowing what the numbers are showing and then doing the right adjustments, right? To actually get your body back into its normal, balanced physiological state.
Yes, perfect. I mean, well said. I knew that you would do well. And you guys, if you want to understand what the ranges are, you can Google it. What should the ranges be? And then use your common sense. If you're high on the range or low on the range, you can question the doctor. Because the other thing, like a lot of doctors, like I'll talk about diabetes is a really easy one. If you go to the doctors and you're pre-diabetic, they're going to say, well, you're showing numbers of pre-diabetes, but there's nothing I can do for you until you are diabetic. Once you're diabetic, then I'll help you. But now that you're pre-diabetic, I've got nothing to say. And some of them, the majority of them, won't even ask about your diet. Won't say to you, they now, because of what you said, the times are changing and there's so much more information. Many doctors want to be the best they can, and they're starting to lean into nutrition, lean into diet, understanding lifestyle.
Because they have to, because their patients know more than they do. Heather, I did a post yesterday that blew up. It was on cholesterol and statin drugs. Here's another perfect example. People demonize cholesterol thinking it's the bad guy. We need cholesterol. Cholesterol protects your neurons in your brain. It protects your cells. Cholesterol is what makes pregnenolone the master hormone, right? Which makes all of your other hormones. So if cholesterol is low, that's a bad thing. This is where it's going way off scale. And they've actually changed the ranges over the years to make it lower so they could do one thing: increase the sale of statin drugs, which kill you. Right. Statin drugs is one of the worst medications you can put into the body. Now, look, if you're at risk of having a stroke, I get it. Like the PPI, take something in the moment, get under control. But at the same time, let's figure out why your body is having this cholesterol numbers. But here's what the research shows. When that number goes below 179, death rate skyrockets.
Right.
You know how many patients on statin drugs I see numbers in the 130s and the 120s and the 140s? It's dangerous.
Yeah.
But the research shows on the other end, this is, by the way, British Medical Journal, Journal of Epidemiology, 77,000 person study. When that number is between 180 and 249, ideally 200 to 249 is the sweet spot. That is where longevity happens. That's where you live the longest. By the way, the range ends at 199. So most doctors over 199 are going to put their patients on a statin drug. I had a friend of mine who I haven't spoken, a soccer friend for years, and he literally DM'd me yesterday, and he's my age, and they just put him on a statin drug 6 months ago. And he heard the thing that I was talking about, which is that not only do they put their patients on statin drugs block the production of vitamin K2 and something called coenzyme Q10. So if you're on a statin drug and you're not taking those two supplements, CoQ10 and vitamin K2, which you find with vitamin D3, you have the risk factor for atherosclerosis, which can cause a heart attack, and congestive heart failure. It's crazy. And by the way, if you're over the age of 60, a female over the age of 60, your ideal cholesterol zone is 200 to 300. A doctor that doesn't understand this and that doesn't read the research you're going to go to them and you're going to have a number at 250, which is right in the sweet spot. And they're going to say you need to be on a drug for the rest of your life.
Right.
This is what we're talking about.
Yep. It's important and overwhelming. You want to say, your doctor say you need something. You want to say, okay, I'm going to go pick it up at CVS. I'm going to take it. But there's no silver bullets, and there's nothing you should be putting in your body that you don't understand what it is. We believe in pharmaceuticals. We believe in the power of medicine, all of that. It's so important and it can save people, but we know we're also being overprescribed.
Right. The question is, do you have a deficiency in that medication, or do you have a deficiency in magnesium or some other nutrient, right? So again, in the short one, it's okay, but we have to remember there's something that the body truly needs that it's not getting, or the body has something in it and it's making it's too toxic. It's like that plant back there. If that plant begins to wilt, right, I'm not going to give it drugs. I'm not going to give it surgery unless it's going to die, right? I'll save its life. Well, I don't know how to do that, but you know what I'm saying, right? But no, let's go back to common sense. Give it water, give it sunlight, give it nutrients. And guess what? The power made the body heals the body. That plant knows how to heal itself, just like our body knows how to heal itself. If I cut my finger, I come back in 2 days later, the Band-Aid comes off, my hand is healed. It wasn't the Band-Aid. It wasn't the bacitration, or what I would use would be sovereign silver. Life heals. God heals us from above down, inside out. And we have to respect that force inside of our body. The moment we're born, that innate intelligence doesn't die. It stays with us. But we have to give our body a help. So give the plant all the things it needs. But guess what? That plant can still wilt and die. Maybe we slowed that process down because we gave it more things to strengthen it. But what we didn't realize was that there were some things leaking into the root system of that plant that were making that plant toxic and more deficient. So no matter how much sunlight, water, nutrients we gave that soil, it was inevitable. It was still going to die.
Right.
The cause of all dis-ease, which is lack of balance, lack of harmony in our body, is two things and two things only. It's deficiency and toxicity. So the goal of when you're looking at how to restore your health and make your body new again, give it the things it's not getting. Put more powerful foods into the body. Less synthetic, more powerful whole foods. Give yourself a few supplements. Start with one. If I had to pick one supplement to start with, it probably would be magnesium. I think it's that, and probably followed by fish oil, right? So again, start with one, go from there, and start to build the strength back up in the body. Before you know it, it's going to come alive. And remember, though, the root system of that plant, what's the root system of our body? It's the gut microbiome. That's where we got to really focus everything.
Which is a perfect segue to talk about brain health and gut health. So, because, I talk about gut health so much. And you've come on and we talked about gut. We know that disease ends and starts in the gut, right? We knew that in mythological times. But what do we know now about brain health and how that needs to be supported by the gut, and things that we're seeing also running rampant, not only in adults, but we're really seeing it in children. Just like you said, we're an unhealthy country. We've got an obesity epidemic, but we also have an anxiety epidemic. And kids are so full of anxiety. And yes, it is the social media. It's the constant on the screen time, but it's also gut health. It's also inflammation.
There's a very real connection. There is something called a gut-brain connection. And it's interesting, Heather, because people call the gut the second brain. I call it the first brain, because literally 80% of your immune system lives in your gut. 80% of your nervous system. Think about that. Your nerve system, your nerves, your cells that run your body, right? You're not dead when your heart stops. You're dead when your nerve system stops, your brain. 80% of that is in your gut. 95% of the serotonin, your happy feel-good hormone, not made up here in the noggin in the brain, is made in the gut. So there is something called, that's why I call the gut the first brain. There's something called the gut-brain connection, and it's connected through something called the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is a cranial nerve. It's the largest nerve in the body. It extends out of the brain, out of the neck and head area, all the way down to innervate not just your heart, but the gut and the brain. So when someone is suffering with things like anxiety, depression, there is a very real physiological aspect happening that stems from the gut. This is a crazy study I want to tell you about. There's something called, have you ever heard of LPS before? Lipopolysaccharide?
No, LPS, no.
All right. So I want to kind of keep this as like non-scientific as possible. But so we have our gut. All right. And then there's a gut wall, which should be like a fortress, a barrier, which shouldn't let anything bad through to get into our bloodstream and the body. Leaky gut is when there are basically Swiss cheese holes in that wall. All right. The wall has been basically punctured, and now things that should never get from the gut into the blood get. I'm talking about
food particles.
You got it. Undigested food, proteins, yeast, fungus, mold, inflammatory bacteria, whatever's there. All right. If the gut contains it, we're healthier. But if that gets through, then it becomes systemic, and we're only as strong as our weakest link. For me, when I was back in California for 2 years, a few years ago, I was so infiltrated with mold toxicity, that it took my gut out. And leaky gut, it was like a bomb. And all this stuff leaked in and attacked my brain. My brain was so inflamed, it was a brain on fire, that I did a MRI with something called neuroquant, which not only looks at the brain function, it looks at, is there any areas of your brain that are atrophying, that are decaying, that are shrinking and damaging, which is not something that you want to have happen.
Yeah, that's not good. Shrinking brain is not good.
I had 5 areas of my brain that were atrophying so bad, so that if we were doing this interview back then, like I would have to have a pen and paper and write the question down because my brain was on fire. I couldn't process it. Literally, it was just horrible. So again, there is a connection. So the ultimate goal is to really make sure that we fix and heal and seal our leaky gut. But going back to LPS, we have in our gut a whole bunch of bacteria, right? There's good bacteria and there's bad bacteria. Look at your gut like a garden. We want lots of the flowers, the probiotics, which means for life. We don't want the bad guys, the inflammatory bacteria, the parasites, the H. pylori, and things like that. But with most of us, what I find on my gut testing, which is why we're so symptomatic, bloating, constipation, loose stools, acid reflux, and downstream issues, brain fog, skin issues, you can't lose weight, reproductive issues, you're having trouble conceiving, all of those things are stemming from inflammation that starts in the gut because there's something called dysbiosis where these bad bacteria, these weeds, are gaining momentum. They're starting to gain force because we don't know they're out of balance. And what happens is they start to eat their way through that gut wall, causing leaky gut. Well, here's where LPS comes in. In the cell wall of these bacteria, over 50% of them, things like E. coli and Pseudomonas and Citrobacter, very common ones, Streptococcus, that we find in many of our patients' guts. In that cell wall is a toxin called LPS. And when these cells die, and by the way, right now in the last second, we both had millions of good cells, probiotics that died, millions of these bad cells that we all have in there that died. They're always dying, but they're not like they're going 6 feet under buried and they're gone forever, right? No, they're out in the open. So what happens is when that cell dies, in that cell wall, that LPS toxin is released. We all have it. Over 50% of the bacteria have it. Now, if we don't have leaky gut and your gut can contain that and eliminate that out of the poop, we're okay. But that's not what happens because we all have leaky gut. Some of us less, some of us more. So now that LPS toxin leaks through, attacks the brain, it drives up inflammation. And here it comes, Heather, the number one symptom that people get from that LPS toxin, anxiety and depression. You can also get ADD, ADHD, and neurologic tics like my son got, but anxiety and depression are the biggest things. Now, here's the crazy part. They did a study. God bless these people that donated their bodies for this study. It was crazy. But they basically had people with no anxiety, no depression. They were very healthy. Then this group over here had anxiety, lots of depression, and these LPS toxins. So what they did was they extracted the LPS toxin from the group with anxiety and depression. They put it in a syringe. They injected it into the serum of the healthy group with no anxiety, no depression. Within hours, 100% of this population, different degrees, were experiencing withdrawal. They became withdrawn. They became introverted. They started having dark moods, depression, anxiety, irritability. This is insane. This shows how the gut is directly connected to the brain in terms of the inflammatory process, because ultimately it was the inflammation that caused it. We traced that back. Leaky gut was how it happened. And then there were environmental triggers in the gut that caused the leaky gut. This is why the gut is critical. So if you are experiencing anxiety, depression, yes, there could be a lot of social things causing that, right? But you have to pay attention to the gut and start to look at that, because I'm telling you, I see this with so many patients. We start to heal their gut and fix that gut wall, and all of a sudden they start feeling better. Their energy's up, their mood's better. They're going out, they're doing more things, they're becoming more social. This is what it's all about. Yeah.
That's incredible. I hadn't heard that story before, but and I'll have to look it up, because let's get into some pragmatics now for people. How do they avoid foods that cause that, the moldy foods? Like what should and shouldn't be in our kitchens?
Moldy foods are dangerous. Mold is probably one of the worst biotoxins for the gut. So I'll give you some of my unusual suspects. And please don't shoot the messenger. So cheese would be an example. Soft cheeses. All right. Something like a brie would be a soft cheese, or like a blue cheese, very high in mold. Those are non-negotiable. You don't want to eat those. All right. Hard cheeses, those are more okay. So I would be okay to eat those. Mushrooms are a big one. Mushrooms are mold, right? So I'm okay with the adaptogenic mushrooms like a lion's mane or like a chaga, because those can actually kill candida and can kill mold. But like the mushrooms that you buy in a grocery store, they were loaded with mold. They're loaded with aflatoxin. They're sitting in these bins for 3 months, 6 months. And again, those are going to cause massive amounts of inflammation. So any of those mushrooms that you'll buy, even at a farmer's market, I would avoid like the plague. These are two
Like
big
the
ones.
white button mushroom, even if you cook it.
I don't care how much you cook it. It's not going to kill mold.
Heal the mold. Yep.
No.
Yep.
And for people like me who are mold sensitive, it's absolutely a non-negotiable. My son loves mushrooms, so once in a while I'll let him have them because he's mold sensitive too. But like he knows that and he loves them, but like it's moderation. And I try to like really prevent that from happening.
Right. And the better one, the lion's mane, the adaptogenic mushrooms are just cleaner.
Yeah, in our acid kicking coffee, our hazelnut version, we put lion's mane and L-theanine because it's not only neutralizing the acid in your coffee, but it's a brain booster. It literally is an adaptogenic that will calm. L-theanine is very good for calming anxiety. It helps depression, but it also goes after some things in your body that are creating those very things we're trying to kind of lessen. So it's a very good mood enhancer. But two big ones, unusual suspects are peanut butter and corn. So peanuts have about 21 different forms of aflatoxin, which is a cancer-causing fungus. And listen, I love peanut butter. I love the taste of it. I just haven't eaten it in probably 25 years.
Almond butter is delicious.
Yeah, so that would be, it's not
an easy fix.
What's a better version of the food that we love? That would be a good swap for that. So almond butter is a great swap for that. But you got to avoid peanut butter because what they do, Heather, is pretty crazy. And you know this. They take all the healthy looking peanuts with less mold visible, and those go in your cocktail jars because you don't see it. All those nasty moldy peanuts, they mash them up and that becomes your peanut butter. So now you go to Whole Foods and you see that jar of peanuts and you can make your own peanut butter. Like, wow, this is cool. I'm going to make fresh peanut butter. This is the healthiest thing ever. No, that's actually worse than the store-bought ones that you buy because those peanuts are sitting in this glass jar and now it's exposed to the elements, light and oxygen, which causes more mold growth. So even though you're making it fresh there, it's going to have actually a higher mold level. And corn has 25 forms of aflatoxin, a cancer-causing fungus. It's even worse. And plus, all corn is genetically modified anyway.
I was going to say, yeah.
So
there's no such thing as a clean peanut, and there's no such thing as clean corn.
Right. So pistachios would be another nut because those get moldy. Cashews as well. So instead, I'll have Brazil nuts. I'll have raw almonds. Hazelnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds. Like those are the fats that heal our body, right? Those are the ones that we want to put into our body because they're high in omega-3 fats that lower inflammation. So
and roasting those nuts is not going to make a difference. So these are the nuts that you want to eat much less of, and then look for the nuts that are cleaner and don't have those things that you want to eat more of. Because I love nuts. They're good for you. My sunflower seeds, I get all my zinc.
Right. So sunflower seeds are good. Sunflower oil is bad because once that turns into an oil, it becomes oxidized. It turns to a trans fat and it's high in omega-6 fatty acids. So the seed is good. The sunflower oil is bad. Flaxseed is good. Flaxseed oil is bad. A lot of people use
processing is not good. Generally speaking, when you're taking something from its natural form and then you're putting it through a process to change it into something else, that's always something you want to look out for.
Right. So what I'll do is like patients that need more fiber and have constipation issues, what I'll do is I'll have them get equal parts chia seeds, equal part flax seeds, say half a cup of each, put it in a coffee grinder, grind that, and now you're going to get this emulsified powder. Get a tablespoon of that powder, put that into a glass of water, and then drink that once a day. You're getting high amounts of omega-3 fats. You're getting a good source of protein, high minerals, and a good source of fiber. And what I do with that mixture that I just grounded, right, because that can become rancid, I'll put that in the freezer and it'll protect it. Yep. So that's the way that I would kind of use that. And it serves so many different things, but that's a really good hack for people with constipation because we need more fiber in our diet, but we need the right fiber.
Yes, of course. Okay, let's back up for a second. So we're saying these are the unusual suspects. I have a stutter today. Unusual suspects that you have to watch out for. But then there are also like, what else should we not have in our kitchen? So these are foods that you want to be careful of because they're toxic. But then there are also other things like you think sunflower oil, I'm not using vegetable oil and that's better, but it's not really better. And remember, you guys, all the time, whenever science comes out with something, the food industry is there to market a new category and market a new thing, like gluten-free. I'll use that as an example. They put gluten-free on things that don't even have gluten in them.
It's so true.
It's a whole new classification.
They put it on fruit. They put it on fruit, which is the best. When I see that, I'm like, really? You serious about that?
Gluten-free fruit.
Yeah, and there's nothing free about gluten-free. It's the biggest scam. They take the gluten out. It tastes like cardboard. Now they put sugar, artificial sweeteners in. They just load one other acid from the acid they took out. Not to mention, like, there's 400 different forms of protein that mimic gluten. So I can go out there and eat gluten-free oatmeal, and it's going to have avid in it. And I don't want to be like, I don't want to scare people, make it be all depressing. I can't eat anything. It's not about that. We just want to really make you become more consciously aware, because going back to the insurance thing, it's like our best insurance policy is being your own health advocate and knowing this information. And what Heather was just alluding to with the sunflower oil, it's about like, what's the very worst? And that's something I shouldn't have. Here's a better version of that, and here's the best version. So we're not saying, hey, give up the things you love. Yeah, we're saying don't have peanut butter. Maybe once in a while if you love it, all right, you can do that. That's okay. But let's have almond butter as a good healthy swap. Like, there are so many, have cacao, but there's so many different swaps that we can do, same texture. So instead of having yogurt that's filled with dairy, that's going to be very mucus forming and allergy forming to the gut microbiome, let's do a chia pudding. All right. Chia pudding is going to be way healthier. It tastes amazing. You're going to get so much goodness in that. But the number one, if someone asks me, like, what is the number one thing you have to eliminate from your kitchen? It is the seed oils, hand down. I mean, sugar is bad for us, but we all know that sugar is bad. We knew that forever, right? We can put it in. It's
the quantities of sugar. If you have a little bit of sugar, it's a natural, like, it's the quantities of sugar. We're over, because every food item that we eat has got sugar stuffed in it too.
It snuck its way into our diet. I mean, if you go back to 1865, seed oils comprised of about 1/100th of our diet, which is, wow, that's not a lot. Now, fast forward, it's 1/4 of our diet. It's 25% of our diet. Caloric wise, it's actually over 50%.
Is it because we fry everything so much?
It's not even the fry. If you go all those boxes, you're going to see canola oil.
Oh yeah, in the ingredients, of course.
Safflower oil, sunflower oil, rapeseed oil. By the way, rapeseed oil is the worst of the worst.
Put it back on the shelf if you see those.
It has 943 to 1 ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s. Remember, omega-3s heal, lower inflammation. Omega-6s kill, drive up inflammation. So we got to get rid of those. And this is an interesting thing when you think about it. Remember Dr. Atkins and the Atkins diet?
Of course.
Right? 60s, 70s. I was born in 1975, so I grew up in this era. He became famous for what was known as the low-carb diet. And he started getting all of his patients off of baked goods and cookies and pizza and all that kind of stuff, right? And patients started getting better because they lowered the sugar, right? Mm-hmm. And yes, sugar was being taken out of that. But what he didn't know at the time was the seed oil impact on that. And this is interesting. So if you look at 1865 to 2010, we've actually seen a 17% increase in the amount of sugar in the diet. If you look at seed oils, it's 25%. Now, here's the other crazy part. From 1999 to the present time, the actual sale of processed sugar has gone down a little bit. Now, I'm not talking about the sugar that's kind of in all the foods that we're eating. I'm talking about that white sugar. It's gone down a little bit. But in that same time, that sugar's slightly gone down a little bit and seed oils have skyrocketed. What are we also seeing increasing? Obesity and type 2 diabetes. So I look back at all the amazing work, and he was ahead of his time. He was brilliant. Was it the sugar? Yeah, sugar and taking sugar out of your diet was a big part of this. But the other part that they didn't know then that we know now, and the research now confirms it, is that seed oils is the single most destructive force for your cardiovascular system and for your brain. It's going to basically speed up the process of oxidative stress. It's going to make you die sooner. We can live longer, but we die sooner because it inflames our brain, and we can actually test this. We have a test on our site. It's called an omega-3 inflammation test, where I'll send the kit to my patient. They prick their blood, and literally they put that on the card there. They send it back to the company. Within 12 days, you know how those omega-6s are affecting your brain, and it gives you the ratio. This is how many omega-6s are in your brain. This is how many omega-3s are in your brain. And then they'll tell you exactly what you need to do to actually change that ratio. That ratio should be no greater than 3 to 1. but the average American has 25 times the amount of these damaging omega-6 fats in their brain. And I've seen patients with 88 to 1. It's crazy.
Wow. 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 So, you guys, back to some of the basics. Read the labels of the food that you're eating. That we started the podcast talking about reading the ingredients. Know what you're eating. You want to live closer to whole foods. And then what I'm going to close with, because I have to let you go and I have to have you back because I have to let you go.
We can go a little more if you want.
A little more. Okay. Because what I want to say is that where do we start, right? People are like, okay, oh my God, all this information. And we're not doing this to overwhelm you. I mean, sometimes I will say, my daughter will say to me, Mom, you're going to give me an eating disorder. You know what I mean? Because I have her weary of foods and I want her to make good choices. And that's what it really comes down to. We just want to inform you, and so that you're then educated to have the choices in front of you and choose hopefully the better choice for yourself, because you know why.
That's right.
You have a reason. So it's like, oh, I'm not supposed to eat bread. Well, really, why not? I don't know. Dr. Daryl told me not to eat bread. Like, that's not why. You have to know why you're doing something in order to then understand it, accept it, make it a part of your lifestyle. So I think one of the really good first steps, and I'm bringing this up now because you're so generous to offer it, is that you do all this testing. Yeah. So you're offering the listeners a discount to come in and take a test and get their baselines understood where they are today, so that we can make sure that they're a healthier baseline tomorrow. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's the gut testing. It's basically the 2 tests that you need to do to get an entire look at your microbiome. You're gonna look at inflammation levels, leaky gut, how strong or weak your healthy probiotic defense army is. What is your first line of defense, which is something called secretory IgA, which is your immune system in your gut. So before we said 80% of the immune system lives in your gut. We actually put a number to that. So you can see, so like it should be 1,250. The patient I was on this morning, it was 332. So that told her she had a weak immune system, which is horrible. Yeah. And then why? We're looking at all the stealth gut infections that are living in there that we don't know are in there. That's why we call them stealth infections. So we're looking at parasites, active viruses, H. pylori, inflammatory bacteria, and then we can see exactly what's causing all the damage. And then we also do a food sensitivity test. Not one like that most doctors do, where they're looking at antibodies and allergies. No, we're looking at, are these foods, when you digest them or lack thereof, creating an inflammatory process in your gut because your gut's out of balance and you just can't digest it. So you'll see green bars, you can eat all those. So yellow ones we avoid for 3 months, red ones we avoid for 6 months. So after that test, it's not about keto diet, it's not about paleo, Mediterranean, it's about what is the right bio-individualistic diet for Heather, for Daryl, right? And you'll have that information. So it's very, very powerful. At the end of the day, you're getting information so you can make better informed health decisions. And I personally review those labs with every one of my patients. And by the end of it, I'm telling you, it's probably the most important visit you'll ever have. We have a link for it. And if you just use the coupon code Heather15, I think all caps Heather15, you're going to get a 15% discount on it, which we never do. So that's because Heather is an acid, I was about to say rock star, but no, she's an acid kicker. And, and we love you all. We want you to be healthy, and being healthy starts with information. Remember I said, what you inspect, you respect. And I promise you, when you get these results back, you're going to be blown away by the things that you discover about your body and truly where real health lies, or lack thereof. So it's awesome. I encourage everybody to do it. I encourage everybody.
Yeah, I love that. Please take advantage of this offer, you guys. I'm going to have my daughter do one, because she needs, I've been waiting for blood tests from the doctor, and he's like, I just want to start here, because we do have those, we do have things available to us. And sometimes we all run into the problems. She's moving between a pediatrician and a real doctor. And it's I haven't had a blood, pediatricians don't test for blood the way adult doctors test for blood, and they should. So that's another story. We can get into kids on the next podcast. I do want to ask you about one thing before you go, because I even have, a curiosity about it. And I know Propolis is great. And honey and Propolis, that's been in my diet for a long time, but I have seen a resurgence of it, not a resurgence. I'm seeing it on the shelves more and more. Talk to us about honey and Propolis, because I know people have probably seen it as well, to be advertised and marketed.
I love this topic. I love it. It's so funny. Right before we went live, I ran into my kitchen because I've been talking all morning long. I had another podcast and I did a bunch of like patient consultations. So
Yeah.
my throat was getting a little scratchy. So I have local honey mixed with propolis or propolis, however you want to call it.
Propolis, whatever.
And I
Yeah.
took a spoonful of that because what it does is it soothes, it calms, it lowers inflammation. Here's the story about propolis. So bees make honey. And by the way, I'm talking about local bees. Never buy honey from a grocery store because it's
Right.
never raw. It's
Right.
unlegislated. If you see it raw on the label, it's BS. It was probably raw when it was put into the jar. So Manuka honey, I used to love Manuka honey, comes from New Zealand. Well, there's two problems with Manuka honey. Number one, it's local to New Zealanders and the foraging in New Zealand, not Southwest Florida or New York. So it's not local. You need local honey. And number two, when they put it into that jar to get it onto that shelf, it has to be pasteurized. So they heat it up because if there is a bacterial pathogen in there, they want to kill it. But guess what? They also kill all the nutrients in the honey. Honey can be very, very powerful. Yes, it has 52% fructose. That's not a big deal because there's all this other goodness in it.
Right.
So I really want you guys to find a local source of honey. And you just got to do a little research, right? You can find it. Almost every area in this country can find that.
Has local
there are
honey,
beekeepers
yeah.
everywhere. So bees make honey. They also make something called propolis. So propolis, if you look at a colony of bees, there could be 80,000 bees in a colony. And when a mouse enters into that little colony, into that beehive, guess what? They can kill the mouse. They'll sting the mouse and kill it, but they can't remove the mouse. Now, if they can't remove the mouse, that mouse is going to decay and it's going to basically destroy the entire hive. The hive will have to move. So what these bees do is they take their propolis, which is like bee wax, and they mummify this mouse. True story. They mummify this mouse. And you can come back in 10 years, Heather, cut a knife through that, and that mouse will be fully intact.
Wow.
Here's the power about propolis and why the bees use it, especially here in Florida, because the colony is very moist. What does moisture attract?
Mold.
Boom, you got it. So propolis is an antifungal, right? I remember my dad, he had, when he was dealing with his cancer, he always had this like fungus on his toe. Mold causes cancer. And now I look back, he was definitely had a mold exposure. He had the same genetics I had. I guarantee would bet my life in it. I had to get my genetics from mom or dad to be mold exposed, to be sensitive to mold exposure. It was him. And that was part of the process. So anyway, propolis is an antifungal, it's an antiviral, it's an antibacterial, it's an anti-inflammatory, it's an antiseptic, it's an immunomodulator, which means it's going to boost your immune system. And if your immune system's dysregulated from all the stuff going on in your life, it actually can help regulate your immune system. So what I would do is get local honey, get a teaspoon of that, especially if you have a scratchy throat. This will heal a scratchy throat like that. And I put 3 drops of propolis right into that honey, and I'll do 1 teaspoon 3 times a day. It soothes, it calms. And by the way, there is so much research showing on how it can heal ulcers. So if you have acid reflux, again, that patient, I keep picking on her with love. She had ulcers all throughout here. So that's something that I will be putting her on when I create her protocol, is that she is going to need something to heal the ulcer. So I will have her take propolis with the honey, because there are so many studies showing how it can actually heal ulcers, in addition to something called BPC 157. We'll open the capsule, we'll put that in a little water, drink that. It's a peptide, again, that can heal ulcers. This is the power that we're talking about. This is the stuff that we all have access to. This is stuff that's made naturally by God in our environment. And we can now use this to our advantage to help our bodies heal from the inside out. These are things that when you said that, I'm looking around because I thought I had it over here because it's always around.
Yeah.
You want to build things up. All right, if I have a headache, if I have joint pain, all right, if I have throat irritation, I always have some form of therapeutic supplement or a biohack that's going to do that. But you start with one thing and build from there, and you build and build and build.
Well, I, again, could keep you here for 10 more minutes, and I know we have to go because we have hard stops today, everybody, or we'll keep talking.
Heather, round 3 coming up. Round 3 coming up.
Round 3 is coming up. Yeah, I'm so glad for clarity because I've been using propolis for years as an immune booster.
Yes.
But I started to read more about it because I was seeing it marketed more. And I'm like, what are people like? What happens usually is like the health food stores have been knowing this stuff for years, but then the commercial markets get a hold of something that's working in health food and they start to market it. And I was worried that, are they changing it? Or are they making it bad? And
one thing about the Propolis people need to know about, I just want to save them from ruining any glasses. If you put, so how I'll do it as well when I had mold toxicity, this really helped my mold. I got a full glass of a paper cup of water, not glass. It's so sticky, the residue, you will not, I don't care how much hot water you put on it or what you do to scrub it, your glass is ruined. So get a thing of paper cups. And what I would do in addition, like you could do the way I told you with the teaspoon, but what I was doing as well, a more stronger version of it, full glass of water. And I would start with just like maybe a few drops of the propolis in there and then just drink it and then throw the cup out. Because if you don't use a cup, it's going to ruin a glass. So that's another way to do it. So now you get it deeper into the gut. And now it can go down here where people have damage from acid reflux, and that'll help a lot.
I have a dose that I take mixed with vitamin C, and it comes in one of those tear off envelopes.
Perfect. Love that.
So I never even have to touch it. So there's definitely ways. It's certainly something everybody should have in their medicine cabinet. And I call my medicine cabinet is in my kitchen, by the way, because it's all whole food stuff. It's
what's the medicine cabinet? I've never heard of it.
I call it my medicine cabinet. It's like, it's like a 70s thing. Like my mother had a cabinet in the kitchen that had like Tylenol and aspirin and all.
I was actually kidding. I call it my acid kicking cabinet.
Your acid kicking cabinet. So, but now
I was making fun of the old school medicine cabinet, which is now changed, because if I was to open up your medicine cabinet, it's filled with all Heather's amazing stuff.
It has chia seeds in it. It has propolis in it. It has oregano oil in it. It has, it has so much silver in it.
Show people. These are the videos we got to start showing people.
Yeah, that's true. We should do a video. Let's do a video. Next time we'll do a live in your kitchen.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Let's do live in your cupboards.
That'll be fun.
I love that. Well, listen, you guys, tell everybody where they can find you, because we got to wrap it up. And he's going to be back, and keep listening and tune in. Listen to podcast 1, listen to podcast 2, and get after Dr. Daryl, because he's got so many resources. So tell them a little bit about what you got they can read and what you got where they can find you.
Thank you so much. So the website is getoffyouracid.com. I always say that slowly. And that's all of our acid kicking supplements. Our new one, Gut Punch, we just launched. This is like the most amazing supplement in the world.
My favorite. I literally just used my last scoop today, but I got a delivery in New York City. So I said to my husband, make sure you bring my box home.
I love it. I got to send you some too. So it's dairy-free colostrum, right? There's a big hype about colostrum, a lot of benefits. It's still dairy, a lot of downsides. This is dairy-free colostrum. We get it from the actual serum, and we combine that with organic collagen peptides. We're the first brand to use organic collagen. Believe it or not, no one's ever used it. Yes, it's grass finished, but it's organic. Together, that is the 1-2 punch to knock out bloating, acid reflux, indigestion, intestinal pain, leaky gut. It will heal and seal the gut wall better than anything. And by the way, this binds to over 41 different pathogens in your gut, including mycotoxins, which is mold, aflatoxin, E. coli, H. pylori, candida. It is amazing. And by the way, there's no taste to it. So my kids drink stuff every morning. It keeps their gut strong, and it keeps us ahead. So whether your gut's a wreck or you're feeling good, you gotta give yourself a gut punch every morning. That's what this is. And we have other.
I love that. And it's travel friendly. I take that. I love the size of it. I take it with me wherever I go.
And if you use the coupon code Heather15 on checkout on the Get Off Your Acid site, you'll get a 15% discount off of all of our supplements the first time you buy. So that's super cool. And then if you DM me, my Instagram at Dr. Daryl Gioffre, DrDarylGioffre, DM me. I check all the DMs. It's a lot, but we're on it. And just say, Heather15, I want to test my gut. There's going to be a link up there in our bio as well. You can come and do all the testing with us. We'll send you the 2 kits. You do the stool at home. Don't send it to me. Send it to my lab. And then we'll hop on a 45-minute lab review. And I'm telling you, it is going to be the most empowering, powerful visits you've ever had. I'm not saying that about me or to impress you.
I can't wait to do it with Ella. I cannot wait to do this with my daughter.
That once you see what's hidden under the surface, then you can make true health changes. So Heather, I want to thank you. I said this last time, you're an inspiration to me. You walk the walk. You are glowing every time I see you, because you live this better than anyone I know. You're just so amazing, and just the knowledge that you have. And it's not just knowledge. You put that knowledge into action, and you give it to everybody through these podcasts and everything that you do. You're a warrior. And I just want to thank you again for having me on. I'm so blessed to know you.
Oh my God. I learned from amazing people like you. And then I want to spread the knowledge, and you'll be proud of me to know I had a little bit of red wine last night. And first thing I did before I went to bed is I took my minerals. I need to buy the drops.
Oh my gosh.
You got to
I'm
send me
sending
some
them
drops.
to you. I
Please,
don't have it here,
because
but
I
5
thought about
drops
the
in every
drops
drink.
when
You
I
will
was
not get a hangover.
I
You will
know
feel
when I was
great.
taking the wine, even if you're not drinking enough for a hangover, like it's still a good way to neutralize it.
Yes.
When I was taking the wine, it was this beautiful, I was like, ooh, I wish I had those drops. And then I was like, ooh, but I still have my minerals.
There you
So
go.
I drank the minerals and I've been drinking them every morning actually, but I added them last night because I had some wine.
I love it.
But they're such great products, what you do. And
Thank you.
I'm super proud to share them. And I love you so much, and come back and see me again soon.
Absolutely. Love you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me on.
Mwah.
Go
See you
at it.
soon.
Start with one thing. All right. Take one thing from this podcast and just put it into action. And we're here to help you in any way.
Yes. DM us. We're going to answer.
Yes. Bye,
Thanks, Doc. See you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here today. My true hope is that each podcast gives you some new perspective, new information, or connection into living that brings you closer to your freedom. And I can't wait to meet you here again for more practice next week.